The owners' meeting is well underway, and we've got a lot of news coming out, from Woody Johnson speaking to the media to rules changes being approved and OBJ meeting with the front office. Let's talk about it.
Inside, and a beauty! Hall, let it free! Brees Hall inside the 10, he's gonna score!
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Talking Jets with Tigo. My name is Tigo. The owners' meeting is one of my favorite times of the offseason because it's another opportunity for all 32 teams to be in one place. Head coaches, GMs, everybody is there. And we just get a plethora of news coming out every single day. Actual changes to the sport that we all know and love coming every single day. It's fantastic, and it's one of my favorite parts of the year. And today is another example of not only news breaking at like 1 a.m. last night. If you didn't see that video that I uploaded at 2 a.m. yesterday, go and watch that video about the Aaron Rodgers trade compensation kind of being leaked and that conversation happening. But today we got a bunch of news that we're going to go over. OBJ meeting with the front office, and we're going to start there. We'll talk about Woody's comments, and then we'll talk about the rules changes, because there's one rule in particular that I think the New York Jets are going to absolutely massively benefit from. I wish this rule was in place last year, and we'll talk about that when we get there. But let's talk about the least important of the news, in my opinion, because I think it's already a foregone conclusion, and that's OBJ meeting with Robert Saleh, Joe Douglas, and the guys of the New York Jets in person in Arizona. I think that this is already a done deal. He is coming to the New York Jets. He's probably going to wear number 0, if we're being honest, because that's one of the new rules changes. I think he's honestly just waiting for Aaron Rodgers trade to happen, be done and dusted, and it makes a ton of sense. Theoretically, the deal can still fall through. It won't happen. The Green Bay Packers don't have another dance partner. The Jets don't have another dance partner. This deal is going to get made, and he just has there's no rush. There's no point in rushing this contract. There's no point in having a conversation until the guy is here. And so why rush it? We can wait. He can wait. Makes a ton of sense. But that happened. You know, they're friendly. It makes a ton of sense. OBJ is one hell of a player, or has been one hell of a player, and hopefully our locker room can overcome his problems. Now we move on to Woody Johnson's comments. He kind of gave a bunch of non-answers, but the real thing that Woody Johnson said, and I think that stuck out, is a lot of people were talking about, oh, this team has a win-now mandate. And then there was a bunch of reports that came out, no, this team doesn't have a win-now mandate. I think Woody Johnson made it very, very clear. Yeah, I want to win now. I'm not a patient man. I'm not in the business of losing. I want to win football games, and I want to win football games now. Makes a ton of sense. When you're a billionaire kind of guy, you want to win games. You want your football team to be productive and good and all of those things. And yeah, easy breezy. Makes a ton of sense. Now, I don't think that this comment is saying that, like, if we lose, everyone's fired, but I think it does kind of warm everybody's seat up. Going out and getting Aaron Rodgers is a win-now move, and if we don't win now, and I don't mean like win the Super Bowl, because that's one of the hardest things to do in sports, but like if we don't make the playoffs, if we don't, then we might see some heads roll, and with good reason, right? Like, we should see heads roll if we don't make the playoffs with Aaron Rodgers playing all 17 games. That's the reality of it. Now let's talk about the rules changes. We already mentioned one. Players can now wear the number 0. I guess that's an important thing that matters. I don't know why that wasn't a rule before, or why anybody cares about like the numbers and like restricting players to wear whatever number. I always thought that was kind of asinine and kind of dumb. But hey, you can wear the number 0 now, and it's probably looking like a guy like Allen Lazard or OBJ is going to wear the number 0 and be the first 0 for the New York Jets in franchise history. And that's a thing. Okay, whatever. But I think the more important rule change that has happened, one that I wish was here in place last year, was that the new cut, you no longer have multiple waves of cuts. Last year, you had to go from 90, I think, to 70, and then from 70 to 53 when you look at the cuts that you had to make on your roster. Now you don't have to do that. You can carry 90 guys up until the day after the last preseason game in this offseason. And that's massive, because now teams are going to be able to hoard players for a very, very long time, keep these guys on the roster up until the last possible moment, and then dump 37 guys. all onto the waiver wire all at once, which means that there is going to be like, I didn't even do the math because I didn't even consider it that far. I just did the 37. But if we do 37 times 32, that's like 1,200 players are all going to hit the waiver wire all at the same time. So the likelihood of you being able to sneak a player through the waiver wire makes a ton like more sense now. Makes a lot of, like last year, if we were able to dump 37 players all at the same time, remember that the New York Jets had the most players claimed of any football team. There's a good to fair chance that a lot of those guys might make it through because you can't evaluate as a front office. Yeah, you're keeping an eye on certain things, but as a front office, it's hard to keep track of 1,200 guys plus the 53 guys that are on your roster and trying to make the correct decision to say, you know what, X player is better than our X player. We're going to claim this guy, send this guy onto the waivers. A lot of moving pieces, and this is really going to help front offices that can really find and develop talent on the lower end of the spectrum, like the New York Jets have been doing in recent years. This gives us the ability to, like last year, I think Jason Pinnock sneaks through if this rule was in place. And we all know how much we loved Jason Pinnock last year. So a lot of those kinds of things I think are going to be in the conversation, are going to be in the works. And I would not be surprised to see NFL teams carrying full 90-man rosters up until the last day to literally just be like, okay, we're going to cut these 37 guys to try to sneak 3 or 4 of these guys through so that we can get them on our practice squad. It makes a ton of sense. It's a bunch of business sense. And remember, football doesn't care about your feelings. They're not going to cut guys to give them another opportunity for another team. No team is trying to help another team win, and no team cares about the feelings of their players. The top 10 players on a football team are the guys that you really have to like respect and take care of. And the sad reality is that the other 43 are throwaway pieces that are only there to help win a championship. And if you're not doing that, they don't care about your feelings. And that's the reality of the business. It's harsh, and that's why the NFL stands for not for long, right? I think this rule is a really, really good thing, especially for teams like the Jets who are good at developing the back half of the roster, the bottom 30 guys on the roster. And a lot of teams are looking at that and trying to, like, again, we have competitions and we have conversations about like wide receiver 5, running back 4, because we have so many good high-level options. And that's the position that we care about because we know that we're solid at like wide receiver 1, 2, 3, and 4, or running back 1, 2, 3, or tight end 1, 2, 3. We have conversations about tight end 4, wide receiver 6, cornerback 5, safety 5, linebacker 6, because we're so good at the top end of our roster. Makes a ton of sense. I love this rule. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And last but not least, go Jets.